Under the sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raging voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, we're a giant band.
All right, it is time for the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz here on FloridaHSFootball.com. In the FloridaHSFootball.com social media handles. Central Florida has a better high school song, but this ain't bad. Oh. Our intro song, that's our intro song for every show. That's our rock anthem. So yes, indeed. That's Christopher Like. I'm Josh Wilson here, joining here on this Tuesday night here in the Sunshine State. Coming up, we'll have Alan Zlotorzynski coming up for us here from the Brevard Sports Network, who is going to talk everything about Brevard County high school football. He knows almost everything that's going on, the ins and outs there in Brevard County. And boy, happy National Teen Driver Safety Week. Yes, absolutely. You know what? We need to get the Florida Department of Motor Vehicles to sponsor us. That would be a good, good outreach here. Have to get them here. So, yeah. Microphone, Chris?
Yeah. This stuff here, this matters.
Yeah, it does matter very much. He's talking about a different show. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, but no, I got you. Okay, yeah, but yeah, we've got our own little intro song here, but yeah, okay, that makes it the thing. So Mark thinks it's Reno singing the intro song. No, it is. It's not Reno. I can tell you that.
No, it's not. I can confirm that.
Yeah. So Chris can confirm that, and but anyways, here as we roll along here, let's go ahead and get into our Blitz Lines from. All right, as we roll into the Blitz Lines here, let's talk about some things here that we saw from week number 9. Again, it's hard to believe that we're already. We're 2 weeks away from in the regular season, the FHA teams. This week's it for the SSA teams in the terms of regular season, Chris. I just, oh man, I just.
Where do we start with this? I mean,
yeah, and looking back here last week, obviously Merritt Island and Titusville. The forecast, what's interesting about this, the forecast was like wide from Merritt Island, and ends up being a close game. It's one of those things. I'm just like, you think we know Titusville? I'm like, okay, Titusville's taking a step back, but no, they gave Merritt Island a game. They gave Merritt Island a run for their money.
Yeah, I'm speechless for that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of wrapping my head around it. Like, okay, the Mustangs. I'm like, okay, that should have been. It's just you should have won that game by like 10 points, and it was like I think the margin was 3. I don't have all the scores right in front of me here because of everything, but again, what's going to be interesting. Both Merritt Island and Titusville, they're going to probably make the playoffs in their region again. By the way, I just there's been I don't know if you've been watching on X. If y'all have been watching on X. I've got somebody that's, I mentioned this here. I put this on Twitter. I'll mention it here in a moment once we get through everything else, because I think we'll have some time here before Alan comes on here. Looking at the rest of it, Heritage Palm Bay at Mayland wins that game pretty handedly. Martin County at Jupiter. Jupiter takes care of business against Martin County. Jensen Beach, they got handed their first loss by Fort Pierce Central this past weekend. Fort Pierce Central is climbing up the rankings.
Yeah, that one threw me off for a look. I mean,
we all took Jensen Beach on that one. So, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Just mind-blowing. How about Vero Beach? Give them a round of applause. They're going down the muck and just manhandling Cahokia, handing the Blue Devils their second loss of the season. Vero Beach, the Indians rolled to 8-0, and they got Treasure Coast this weekend. The forecast on that one, it's a 75-point game. It's a 75-point spread. Now, I don't think it's going to be 75 points, but that tells you the big difference between Vero Beach in the rankings and where Treasure Coast is sitting at. It's
and then we have that last game.
You base your stuff off of what's in Max Reps in Titusville. Joe, that is inaccurate. The forecast is based upon the points of what's in the scores. We don't go basically. That's the thing. We base upon the forecast, but we also look at what the game scores have been. And there's been some games where that could have been that's again, week 9. Let's just throw this out there. Week 9 usually in most years is the wacky week.
Yeah.
Because we're talking usually.
We do not base our stuff off Max Preps. That we'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I will tell you that right now. We do not base off our stuff, so that is inaccurate there. And we go based upon what is our power rankings system, which is the Florida Power Rankings Index. We base it upon that. We really, to be honest, we've been over 75%. The thing has been over 75% correct over the weeks here ever since about week 4, week 5, which is about where it should be. We would like it to get to 80%. All right. What we didn't expect, and what we didn't expect out of a lot of teams, is a wacky week. Some teams, again, but it happens every year. It seems to be every year we have a wacky week 9, and it's because teams know it's either do or it's die,
or they're looking too far ahead.
That is another thing. And yes,
for example, the Villages in Cocoa. For example, the Villages in Cocoa.
Titusville has had the lead in the fourth quarter of every 4 5. Yeah, but you know what? Gotta win. You know what? You got to win some of those games, okay? But you know what? What's not helping Titusville is not winning some of those games.
Yeah.
That is exactly what the problem is. You can have the lead in the fourth quarter or 4 out of the 5 losses, but let me tell you something. You can have the lead going in the fourth quarter in every game, but if you're not winning some of those games, that's not helping you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's think about it.
You have to be able to close those games out in order to consistently be a team considered seriously.
And when I have a problem when it comes to that, when I'm trying to pull it up here. Give me 1 second here, because this is where. Okay, what's going on? Why am I not being able to pull? Or is it because it? Oh, let me see. It's Region 2. I want to say here, 3A Region 2. Yeah. See, here it is. Titusville is the 7th seed. Yes, you've got to win some games. I'm not saying you got to win every single game. That's a challenge of itself to win every single game. But you've got to close out some of these games. You cannot just sit there and not close out games. Mm-hmm. And honestly, right now, I'm telling you this right now. Okay? I'm telling you this right now. Titusville is sitting at a 7th seed. Wikiwachi or Hernando will most likely be that 8th seed. That means Titusville has no room for error if they're going to make the playoffs right now.
Yep. and that game last week does not help.
No, I get the strength of schedule. Joe, you're talking about things that we already talked about. Oh, okay, we don't agree with the FHA rankings. Okay, but we're going based upon what the data says here from the FHA and what the
Titusville's got a good schedule. We're not doubting that. That's the reason we got them in the playoffs too. But
they're on the verge. They're on the verge of being out because that 8 seed is going to be taken up by the team that be between Weeki or Hernando.
Yeah. You only have 8 spots in the playoff. And we can name 6 teams better than Titusville right now.
Yeah, I just want to. Oh, there we go. Seeing it's up there. There's Alan popping in right now, getting ready to come in. I see him now sitting here. So we're going to get ready to go to break here in a moment, and then we'll bring Alan in. So I'm excited about this. But real quick, as we roll this one here, real quick, Villages and Cocoa 27-6. Cocoa wins that game. Cocoa's maybe getting their footing back. We'll talk to more about Alan about that one because I'm ready to eat. I'm ready to eat some lunch on that one because I think
we've been debating this for weeks, and this is one of those matchups we've been looking forward to, and I'm curious of what.
Well, Alan, they broadcasted that game on YouTube Friday night, so I'll be interested to hear more about that from Alan as we come back here. So we're going to take a quick break here, come back, and then we're going to get into the interview portion here on the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz here. We'll be right back right after this.
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, it's a great chance that I can do it. The First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with a free ScoreStream mobile app. Download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Get ready for the 2026 Coach of the Year Clinics. This February and March, see top collegiate coaches, learn from the best, and take your program to the next level. Don't miss America's most respected coaching clinics.
All right, welcome back here to the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz as we get into the interview portion here. And joining us now for the interview is the one and only Alan Zlotorzynski, better known as Alan Z to a lot of the viewers over there on Brevard Sports Network. And Alan, glad to see you here, my man. And boy, it's hard to believe that we're going through already 9 weeks of the season. We're going into week 10. But first, how's Caleb doing? I know you finally got him home. I know that we talked to our viewers last week about the mishap that happened, and glad to see that he's getting better.
Yeah, no, he's home and he's doing well. In home care, physical therapy, nurses, things like that. But it'll be a long process. But Caleb's tough. He'll get through it, and it's a day by day. So we look forward to the day when we can have him, of course, back on the microphone.
No, absolutely. Good to hear about that. But Alan, y'all broadcasted this game that we were talking about it right at the end before we went to break. That Villages Cocoa game, and the Villages have just been, a dominating machine. And Cocoa said, "No, you're not doing that to us." And Cocoa is doing what we know Cocoa will usually do towards the end of the season, is get hot. And what did you see out of the Cocoa Friday night against the Villages that maybe give us that indicator that things will be all right then for the Tigers for the remainder of this season? I mean, that could be okay for them. I mean, I know that there's still a lot of question marks, obviously, but hey, you get a big win here, you're in control of your destiny.
Well, I think a lot of it depends on what we see going forward, because what ended up happening in this football game, I felt like was a change in identity for the Cocoa Tigers. Obviously, under the last 8 years under Ryan Schneider, this has been a program that has thrown the football all over the yard, 260 yards a game and 2 touchdowns a game under Schneider. That's a lot of yards, and 2 touchdowns a game in the air in high school football is something to behold as an average. On Friday night against the Villages, they rushed for 252 yards. Javian Scott was over 200 of those. Sophomore running back who's been hurt this season, finally healthy, comes back, runs for 201 yards against the Villages. And the rushing attack, it wasn't the passing attack springing the rushing attack. For the first time since maybe the John Wilkinson era, it was the rushing attack springing the passing attack. Believe me, Cocoa wants to throw the football. They want to go downfield. They want to throw hitches 20 yards down the field. They want those 50-yard bombs. Champ Smith is a junior. He struggles with the long ball. He can throw the ball across the middle of the field beautifully. He can throw that 20-yard hitch beautifully. They stick to that. They run the football, and they play that dark side defense, and they can be a Final Four team in 2A, especially in a region, Josh, that I don't think is very strong this year.
No, I mean, considering outside of that, it's pretty much Brevard, the Villages, Cocoa. That's it. I mean, Berkeley Prep is down. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are down this year.
Yeah, listen, and Cocoa played Bradford in the kickoff classic this year, beat them 6-0. Now, I don't know what Bradford's done offensively since then, but I know that Bradford was struggling with their offense coming into the season. I'll have to go take a look at them. But listen, the Villages had come in running all over people. They had 6 running backs in triple digits. Kennedy was an outstanding quarterback. They rushed for only 25 yards against Cocoa on Friday night. The problem for Cocoa this season hasn't been their defense. The dark side defense is there. It's been the offense, which is unusual. And when the Tigers give up points, it's because the offense has turned the football over and put them in a situation to have to defend short fields.
Oh, absolutely. Chris, your microphone.
It's funny you mentioned the offense. Every week we see Cocoa with some pretty impressive numbers, despite despite struggling in those games. What's the whole situation with the offense, and why have they not been able to find some consistency over this season?
Turnovers has killed this football team this year. I mean, you look at Champ Smith, and Champ had come into the game the other night with 3 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Now, look, he threw 2 more on Friday night. He's got 10 on the season, but he was 20 of 33 for 200 yards. Outside of those 2 interceptions, which were passes down the field, he took care of the football for the most part across the middle and on those hitches. But if Champ Smith will take care of the football, the offense can function. The other issue they were having, quite honestly, was red zone. Once they got inside the red zone, they seemed to hit a brick wall. So they were moving the ball well between the 20s. The red zone seemed to be giving them some fits when they got in there. And look, I'll be honest. Cocoa, you look at Cocoa's schedule, you look at the FHSAA metrics in terms of strength of schedule, and Cocoa has played the toughest schedule in 2A, according to the FHSAA metrics. So when you turn the football over against the quality of opponents that the Tigers have faced at the beginning of the season, you don't win very many football games.
No, absolutely here. And Alan, let's talk about some of the other teams that are, that are making noise. Obviously, you posted earlier, 9 teams would have playoff spots in the FHA playoffs if things were to hold. I mean, obviously you got O'Galley sitting there at 6-2. They got a big matchup at Delray Beach Atlantic this week. You got Mirror Island going to Carrollwood Day. You've got Melbourne and Vera going at each other. What's interesting is Melbourne, how close they played Osceola a few weeks ago. That was really like, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, maybe either there was one or two things in my mind. It was either, okay, all right, Osceola is having some struggles, or Melbourne's actually that much improved, and I want to lean towards the Melbourne's maybe that much more improved than under Jeff Panucci in his first year.
Yeah, listen, I'll start by saying this. I think we all know here that this is not the state runner-up team from Osceola from last season, but having said that, it's still Osceola, and they're still the district champs again, and they're still a great football team. Jeff Panucci has come in and done a terrific job with this team. I mean, he has changed the culture at Melbourne. They had 41 freshmen come in this year at Melbourne, and Jeff is not afraid to play them. You take a look at their quarterback, C.J. Hall, sophomore, 1,400 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. They got one of the most dynamic freshman running backs in the state of Florida by the name of Tyrese Jefferson. This young man already has 13 rushing touchdowns this year. Now, the Melbourne Bulldogs, listen, they're 6-2. They've played some opponents in terms of, teams that you would expect a good young team like Melbourne to beat up on. But in the past, maybe this Melbourne team doesn't beat those teams the way this one has. I like where this program is going, and it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if these kids grew up together and in another 2 years are playing in a 6A Final Four.
No, that's a bold prediction. We will keep that on the record here for what Alan has put there on for the record here. But Melbourne Central Catholic obviously beating OCP Friday night, take that district championship there, and looking at it, there's also a couple teams in the SSA that are going to make their playoffs. Which you've got Space Coast obviously sitting there. They're going to most likely go to 9-1 if they beat Stanton this week. Obviously, Satellite. What Dan Burke has gone in there and done there at Satellite, that is very impressive. To draw Dan Burke out of retirement and have him come in and coach. Dan Burke knows football, and he knows football very, very well. Obviously, winning 2 state titles there at Palm Bay during his days there.
Yeah, you look at Satellite and what they've done this year. They took, they jumped over to the SSAA. This was a football program that won 1 game last year, and now they're 9-1 in the SSAA. Their bye week is this week, so they get a week to rest before the SSAA playoffs start. Brevard's fortunate because they've got, we've got 4 teams in the SSAA, 11-man, and I would say 3 of those teams, Satellite, Space Coast, and Holy Trinity, all 3 of those teams are very capable of winning, their district bracket state championship for the SSAA this year. All 3 of them are very good. All 3 of them have taken to the SSAA. Obviously, Space Coast last year winning that SSAA 1A title. It's going to be interesting to see how these 3 teams do over the course of the next 4 weeks. But I expect 1, maybe even 2 of them to be lifting some hardware up.
So one of the teams that we've been eyeing on the last few weeks is Astronaut. They got Coco this coming week. Astronaut is an interesting team, to say the least, in the grand scheme of the playoff picture.
Yeah, unfortunately for Astronaut, they're young, and they've played us. I don't know if you remember last year, but Astronaut was left out of the playoffs last year. It created quite an uprising. But when you took a look at the War Eagles schedule last year, what you saw was a mix of SSAA teams on their schedule and FHSAA teams. Obviously, we know that strength of schedule is a big factor in playoff in the playoff ratio, or how they factor in the playoff numbers, and that hurt Astronaut last year. They were on a bye week this week, and they dropped to number 7 in the region. The unfortunate part is in 2A2, the cutoff is going to be 7 because there's no representative from, I think it's District 7 in the top 8. So whoever wins that district is going to jump immediately into the 8 spot. My biggest fear for Astronaut is over the course of the next 2 weeks, they have to play Cocoa and they have to play Titusville. And if they don't win those 2 games, I fear they drop to 8. And whatever team falls to 8 in 2A2 is going to be out of the playoff mix once they crown a District 7 champ.
Yeah, that's the big fear. And Alan, as we've talked about it here, as we've got a few more minutes left here, wrapping, just everything that's coming up, a lot of people are just not happy with the FHA rankings. They're not happy with the classifications. Obviously, it's way too many classifications. It's, these 2, 3, 14 districts, obviously you see that you've got a lot of that, going on down there in Brevard County. What would you want for the FHA to do when they come here and they meet in 2 weeks from today, about 2 weeks from that, would have been yesterday, on Monday, November 3rd, when they discuss about what the classifications are going to look like going forward? Because I know because the executive director Craig Damon is on the record saying that we need a reduction in classifications, and I agree with him. So, I mean, what do you want to see out of this? Because I feel like our media brethren, they got to listen. They got to be able to listen to us on this side, plus what the coaches are saying as well.
Well, listen, I think it's okay. Okay, so you look at college football, and I think the way of the world for college football is coming, Power Fours, 4 major conferences, right? I think it's okay to stack teams 10 deep in a district. I do. I just think it is. I think, for example, you could take Brevard County, and obviously you want to go, you have to keep it fair by school size, or the problem the FHSAA faces, and I see it right here in Brevard County, is if you take a team and you put them up against teams with big numbers, then they're going to make the jump to the SSAA. And we're seeing that happen in larger numbers. So the FHSAA has to be careful here, I believe, because teams now have an option. And I talked to Hurley Brown about this. I asked Hurley, what would have kept Holy Trinity in the FHSAA? And his answer to me was nothing. He wanted to go play SSAA because he felt like he was forced to have to play the bigger teams in order to pick up the playoff points, in order to play the bigger schedules, the bigger teams, in order to get all of that out there for playoff. And he felt like that was putting his kids in danger. And he point blank told me there was nothing that he could that they could do to make him stay in the FHSAA. So I think the FHSAA, Josh, needs to be careful with this. I think, yes, I do think there needs to be fewer classifications, but I also think that you can't have these 3-team districts. They're gonna have to find a happy medium. 5, 6, 7, 8-team districts. I liked it when the district and the district runner-up went to the playoffs. I thought that was, I liked that. But obviously, I think you have to have at least 6 teams in a district for that to be effective. I was also a big fan of Metro and Suburb as well.
I'm same with you, Alan. I feel like that was one of the best things that got us closer to competitive equity in terms of in the state. And then here we are, we're seeing blowouts again in the state championship games and in the playoffs. So it makes it hard to watch when we all of us sitting here on this screen right now. We love what high school football is all about, and when we're sitting here watching these blowouts, it doesn't make it so much fun.
No, it doesn't. And I looking back on it, I wish we had stuck with it. And look, I get it. The teams down south didn't like it, but I think for the rest of the state, Metro and Suburb worked out just fine. And I don't remember who wrote the article last year, but somebody wrote an article about comparing the state championship scores. And listen, the facts don't lie, and those state championship scores for Metro and Suburb were a heck of a lot closer than what we've seen.
Oh, absolutely, Alan, and definitely. Real quick, Alan, tell everybody where they can find you during all week. I know your social media presence is about as big as ours, if not bigger. But you got a good social media presence yourself, and I know y'all do a lot of broadcasting, a lot of games, a lot of shows. So tell everybody where to find you.
Brevard Sports Network at Sports Brevard on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Brevard Sports Network on YouTube. We've switched more to the YouTube broadcast. I should have listened to you 5 years ago when you told me to do that.
Here we are doing the same thing too.
Here we are doing the same thing, but Brevard Sports Network. You can stick us in the Google engine there and find us anywhere. And catch Josh coming up Thursday night on our preview show.
No, absolutely, and of course, and real quick, when we do the playoff brackets, we'll have Alan drop in when we do our live stuff. Alan's going to do some stuff as they put out the brackets, and he'll jump in and give us some opinions and all that. So we got a lot to look forward to over here in the next 2 weeks.
Josh, I appreciate you guys for having me. I love the show. Keep up the great work. Thanks for all you guys do for our student athletes here in the state of Florida, and appreciate the time.
Appreciate you, Alan. Same back to you.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right, take care. All right, that was Alan Zlotorzynski joining us here on the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz here. Appreciate him taking his time out. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good nuggets there just on Brevard County football right there, Chris.
Yeah, a lot of good nuggets there, and he really spoke the truth about the realignment issue too in the state championship game.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues coming in, and I agree with you. The thing and what Alan said about teams moving this is, that's the thing. They have got to really be careful because one wrong move could be a mass defection.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, the SSA will be the dominant organization over the FSA.
And so we're gonna have to see what happens. All right, when we come back, it'll be time for the pick six here on the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz. We'll be right back right after this.
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought, if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, it's a great chance that I can do it. The First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
High school sports.
All right, welcome back here to the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz here as we are getting ready to close on time here. So we've got to get this thing rolling here with the pick six here as we roll along into it here. And Chris, a lot to talk about here, but real quick here as we make some quick picks here on this here. Space Coast 8-1 at Stanton 5-4. They're making the trek up I-95 to Jacksonville. Space Coast a 36-point favorite over the host Blue Devils, giving the Vipers a 100% chance of winning this game.
Yeah, Space Coast is on the roll. I don't think this is going to be much of an issue here, so give me Space Coast.
No, absolutely. I'm going to take Space Coast as well. Reno takes Space Coast also as well on the picks here. All right, up next is on the pick'ems is New Smyrna Beach Rockledge. This game here, this one's interesting because Rockledge was a district champ last year, but New Smyrna Beach also made the playoffs. But Rockledge is sitting there in the mix here. But I got to tell you, this is going to be interesting. If I'm recalling correctly in my head, I want to say that I want to say here is that New Smyrna Beach has not won a district title yet under Johnny Wilkinson. And I got to say, I think this is the year that's going to happen here, Chris, as they are 3-0 in the district. Win this game, and they pretty much they'll win the district.
Yeah, the Barracudas, they're really on a big roll in district play. I really like New Smyrna Beach right now. Give me New Smyrna Beach, and I think that spread is about right now.
Yeah. By the way, if Rockledge wins this game, they will win the district because they are also 3-0 in the district here. So, with that said, everybody's picking so far Space Coast and the New Smyrna Beach in the chat here. Reno will take New Smyrna Beach as well. Next up is South Fork and Fort Pierce Westwood. This could be, I mean, it's not really much. There's not really playoff implications here. It's just, it's a game. Westwood 15-point favorite over South Fork, win probability 91%.
Yeah, give me Westwood. South Fork, they've struggled much more than Westwood has, but Westwood should be a team that should be in the playoff, but they're not there right now. So give me Westwood.
Yeah, I'm going to take Westwood. Reno's taking Westwood as well. All right. Merritt Island is getting on the bus and making a trek to the other side of the coast to Tampa to take on Carrollwood Day, who is still undefeated at 7-0. Merritt Island is 5-2. Carrollwood Day, the Patriots are a 21-point favorite. Win probability 96% in favor of Carrollwood Day. Does Merritt Island have a chance here to do what they did a few weeks ago, go up to Ed White and win that game? Did they do the same thing here and give Carrollwood Day the first loss, or is this going to be Carrollwood Day all night?
I think Merritt Island done a great job this year, but that's going to be a long road trip for them. Carrollwood Day is just too good right now. Give me Carrollwood Day.
Yeah, I'm going to go Carrollwood Day as well. I just remember that Carrollwood is really going to – this is a good team. This is not like Ed White. They are really good, especially in small school football in 1A. I'll take the Patriots as well. Reno will take Carrollwood Day as well. All right, up next is Martin County and Palm Bay Heritage. This is for a district championship down there in Class 5A. Martin County is a 29-point favorite over Palm Bay Heritage. Where do we go with this one here? Win probability 99% for Martin County. And by the way, Heritage won this game last year, so this could be a trap game for the Tigers.
Yeah, definitely it's going to be closer than that. But Martin County, I think it's on a roll. Give me Martin County. I don't see that being any different.
And Reno is going to take Martin County as well, but unlike last year where Martin County lost this game and it kept them out of the playoffs, if they were to lose this game, I don't think it would keep them out of the playoffs. They would actually still make the playoffs regardless. So with that said, our last and final game is Melbourne, 27-point favorite over Viera, as Melbourne is 6-2. Viera is 5-3. Melbourne, 98% win probability here.
Yeah, I like Melbourne in this game. You're a good, decent team, but they got a long way to go to compete with a team like Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne's doing well, as we heard Alan talk about it. They're young, but they have done a lot of good things, and I'm going to take the Bulldogs as well for the win here. And we'll leave it at that here as we wrap up the Pick Six for week number 10 here. Any final thoughts here, Chris, as we get ready to wrap this show up?
Yeah, a lot of interesting nuggets from Alan there. And I think some of his insights been pretty spot on.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's exciting to see what's going to happen there. And again, a lot is going to happen here in the next 2 weeks. It's hard to believe we are at week 10, and next week will be the final week of the regular season here and everything. But we definitely appreciate everybody that's joined us here on the Drive, Space Treasure Coast edition of the edition of the Blitz here on FloridaHSFootball.com. And with that said, Chris, we are out of here. We've got the South Florida edition of the Blitz coming up. We'll have Jamal Murray join us, the head coach of the 8-0 Atlantic Eagles out of Delray Beach, who will be back in just a few minutes here on FloridaHSFootball.com and the FloridaHSFootball.com social media networks.